Newton Crouch presents technical tips.
We're going to calibrate injection pump number 2. And so we've got a chemical side and a carrier side. Chemical applied in the setup mode is the calibration number. Now we're going to see if that number is good or if it needs to be adjusted to make it more accurate. So the first thing we need to do is come over here and well, since we're going to do number 2, we select number 2. There's your calibration number. In the operate mode, that's the accumulated chemical applied in ounces. That volume doesn't mean anything to us now, so we're going to zero that volume out. It's on 0. That's our calibration number, and in setup is the calibration procedure. If we were actually applying going down the road, we would need to be in the operate mode, and then this chemical applied would accumulate the number of ounces that we have applied for the job. So for calibration, we're going to be in setup and chemical applied, but we need a width for this thing to work. So what I'm going to do, number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is my wider boom section, and the wider the section, the faster the pump will run, thus the faster the calibration procedure will take. So let's step outside to pump number 2. This is pump number 1, this is pump number 2. We have a calibration valve here that once it's pointed down to the bucket, that's where the flow is going to go. It's going to go down to the bucket. If we're ready to operate on the road, this valve needs to be directing the output of pump number 2 to the injection point on the other side of the truck. But to collect it here, we need to divert the flow of this injection pump down to this calibration jug. And since we have our console set up on setup and we see a calibration number there waiting, we're going to pull this trigger here on calibration and start collecting volume in our jug. Now what's going on in the background, the console over here is actually accumulating volume, and we're going to compare that accumulated volume on the display to the volume that we're actually going to read collected from this calibration jug. You want to be able to collect enough for a good sample. I would tend to run more towards 40, 50 ounces for a good solid check, and we'll compare that to the accumulated volume on the console. That lets us know we're in the calibration procedure. We've accumulated about 30 ounces. We could stop at any time, but the more the merrier. You'll have less error the more of a sample we collect. Now while this is running, we're accumulating a few more ounces here. If we had started with no volume in this hose coming from the injection, from the chemical tank, we certainly would want to prime that line first by doing the same procedure until we see volume coming out. Then we would like to get in the cab and zero that total applied counter out one last time before accumulating volume. And let's stop right there. So the best thing to do is to find a surface that's level that you can count on. So let's set it up there on the bed and try to read it as level as possible. We're on pretty level ground right now. If we look real close, this is the 48 ounce mark and we're below it, so we're closer to 47 than we are 48. Let's see what the console says. We flip it back up to operate to accumulate the volume. The indicator's 45, but we've collected 47 out in the jug. So one way you can do that is if I want this number to go up, I can actually go to setup and increase this number by, a guessed amount. Flip it back up to operate, and see it's actually increasing the answer. What I'm trying to do is get this to accumulate to 47 ounces. Very, very close right there. So, you know, if I went up to, that's pretty darn close right there. So what I would do is I would suggest zeroing out this total by holding your decrease switch down and running a calibration one more time. We need to make sure our master switch is back on for number 4. That gives us 20 feet of width. That'll run the injection pump a little faster. It's not running because I'm not in the setup mode. So that's a good thing to remember. We do know the counter's zeroed out though. So this reading is not quite 47. It's 46. It's above 46. So slightly above 46 ounces have been collected. Flip it back up to operate mode. And there's 46.3 ounces. I would consider that calibrated.
Technical assistance is available online 24/7 on our YouTube channel or our website, newtoncrouch.com. You can call us at 800-241-1350 Monday to Friday and speak with a real person. No recorded messages. Our knowledgeable staff will be glad to assist you. Proudly made in America, a family-owned business since 1940, Newton Crouch.